evening, JC is going to be our stagehand, so please pay attention to the cues that we have going on. All right, so just a few housekeeping notes this evening. A special thank you to Totally Mod. Take a look around the room, enjoy your comfortable seats. Look at the awesome logo entrance. Thank you guys so much for your sponsorship. It's wonderful. CCR, thank you so much to the people in the back of the room who are making this all happen for us. A special thank you to Christie's, who's always here taking my photo. If you post those when you're terrible, I'll kill you. And then obviously, Logan Mania, because without Jason Logan, we have no Jimmy Challenge. So, again, a big thank you to the DoubleTree. What a great space. Thank you for having us. In a few minutes, we'll hear from David, their Director of Catering and Convention Services. But before we do that, a few housekeeping notes. As you know, we always do this. So, next month, we are going to do a luncheon. We have heard you. We know you want to do this. We know you want to change the hour. So, we are going to go back to the Citrus Club, and we are going to have another educational meeting March 15th at the Citrus Club. April, once again, our speed networker is returning. For those of you that have never been, it is speed dating on steroids with all of your closest peers. So come on out, enjoy, and get to know some people that you don't typically get to mingle with. Right now, we are looking at the Crown Plaza on Universal Boulevard. So somewhere different, somewhere new that's just renovated, and it's going to be a great time. Something that I don't do often, which I should, and I don't get to do this. Can I have the board of directors of this local chapter please stand up? I'm standing with you. So, for those of you that don't know, please take a look around the room. Without the people in front of you, we would not have these meetings, you would not have the communication you do, and we would not have the membership and the ties that we have to this community. So, thank you all for your dedication. Thanks for your 25 years of service on the board. He's never allowed to leave because he's my punching bag, so it's just the way it is. To the ladies in the front, Miss Sarah Bertrand, if you guys don't know, Sarah Bertrand has retired from this industry and stays on this board until the end of her term. So thank you so much for doing that for us. Okay, so without further ado, I would like to introduce David Luyanda from the DoubleTree, the Director of Catering and Convention Services, to say a few words. Please give him a warm Orlando welcome.
Good evening, everyone. Again, good job on saying my last name. Usually it gets slaughtered every time. But again, my name is David Luyanda, and I'm the Director of Catering and Convention Services here at the DoubleTree by Hilton Orlando and SeaWorld. We're very excited to have you all here. It's a very exciting time for our hotel with some of the things that are taking place. As everyone knows, this property has been many things and has been here a very long time. But with our new ownership, we are about to go under a full renovation of all of our meeting space. We've already done that in a portion of our guest rooms and are continuing that as we speak. But currently we have 60,000 square feet of space. After everything is said and done, we're going to have over 100,000 square feet of space. We are going to be adding an additional ballroom, which is going to be located on our east side. And then everything that you see here will look completely different the next time that you come here. We're doing everything from carpeting to air walls and new lighting package, and it's going to be a really great experience. One of the other things that we're going to be doing is we are on our east side. If any of you have ever been to the property before, we do have a pool area. That's completely going away. It's going to be about 10,000 square feet of outdoor event space. So we're looking forward to hosting a lot of large events, standalone events, or having multiple events within that space because it will have that flexibility. So that being said, there is actually going to be an area that needs to be tented, so we'll definitely have to connect on that. But that being said, I won't take too much longer of your time, but we would love to invite you all back as things continue to happen, as we start to have the renderings and everything that's taking place, and hopefully we'll have this event here again next year once the renovation's done. Thank you and have a great day.
Okay. So without further ado, I would like to introduce you, as he would do, he'd make his own introduction, really amazing, Mr. Jason Logan!
She's like, hey, you have to do the music and come up here at the same time. How are you guys doing tonight? Everybody good? Woo! This is right, 60 on the Blue Bar. What happened? They just went off on their own. They went off script. We can't have off script. They're like, woo! Check the applause. Let's get the applause works. What kind of studies do you have? The show is so big, we need two of you. All right, we're done. Could you imagine if the TV show worked like that? We just turn music on and off. Like that. Hey, JC, welcome. Thank you. Stacy, thank you for the awesome, warm Orlando welcome. Hey, again, I hope you guys are ready to have a good time. You guys ready to learn a little bit about ISES today? Little side note, I would like to say happy birthday to Luna over there. It was her birthday yesterday. She's my birthday buddy. My birthday was yesterday too. I turned 45. You know what that means? We get gray hair and the tensillary strength of chairs don't really hold up. Jeannie, I apologize. I broke one of your acrylic chairs earlier in your rehearsal. I swear to God. Guy looked at me, I go, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I totally went like this and it broke. And the guy goes, Ben, that's never happened before. So I don't know if it's me getting older and I'm getting fatter. I don't know what it is, but 45 doesn't seem to be working too well for me. All right. So, welcome everybody. That's just me. I'll tell you all the fun things about me as we go along. You guys ready to learn something? All right. How many people are ISES members? Make some noise. How many people are not ISES members? Make some noise. Don't worry, you're going to get called out tonight a little bit. It's all going to be in good fun. We're going to bring two very illustrious people up here on stage. You probably saw them out there drinking and having a good time, so they'll be out here in just a second. We also are going to have some fun. You guys are going to get involved a little bit. You're going to be part of the show, so don't be embarrassed. Don't worry about it. How many people go to Rosen right now, man? Hands in, boys. 4 Rosen attendees? Very good. 6? Well, why did that lady in the blue not raise her hand? Do you go to Rosen? Oh, she pointed it. Stacy, what's her name, Stacy? Kristen, welcome. Okay, well you went there. How many people went to Rosen? Alright, good. Well, this is probably something they didn't teach you here. We're going to show you everything there is to know about Rosen. So let's bring out our first guest, ladies and gentlemen. It is our 2015-2016 ISES International President, Jody Collins, CSEP. She is Director of the Conference Planning at Albert College. She manages her program this year. Her specialties are large-scale events production, events logistics, production management, volunteer management, event design, blah. She's awesome. That's good call. It's this table. This desk is so big. I apologize. There's music that plays and everything. That's what we're not sitting down.
I just want you to see Jason do that.
It's just a big desk. I'm coming around that way this next time. All right. So that is our first illustrious guest. That is your ISES International President. And to top it all up, not only do we have current, but we have immediate international passport, the other guy, Kevin White, CSEP. Give him a big round of applause. Not work for Kevin. It is. Oh, Kevin, hold on. Sorry. You can read the rest. I'm just going to go this way. Hey, man, sorry.
Nice.
Would you welcome?
I did my part. I know how this works.
Why didn't you go open the desk?
I tried, but did you see the chair break earlier?
I did.
They both were here. They saw the chair break.
45 is a tough year, man.
It's tough. It is horrible. And I swear to God, Jeannie, that chair was not up to code. Jeannie, that chair was not up to code. I promise you. I'm talking to Bill. If I need a bill in the bell, we're gonna have a major problem. All right, so thank you guys for coming. Did you guys have a safe trip? Everything good? Any weather delays? I know you're coming from Minneapolis, Minnesota.
I was delayed, not due to weather. Apparently the flight attendant just...
What airline is this?
Delta.
Delta.
Yeah. I got here at like 2:30 this morning, so I took an
How's the hotel? Is it good? Did we meet all of your demands?
Yeah.
I mean, your requests?
My rider was fully booked.
All right, good. How about you, Kevin? That's all good?
Everything was fantastic. Came
And
up
he
from
flew in from
Mexico
Mexico.
City this morning.
Mexico City? Nice. Any kidnapping stories we need to worry about?
None that are fully settled yet. You know, there's still ransom notes out there, but
I like it. All right, well, very good. Well, we're happy to have them both here. Again, international past president, international president sitting already, so this is good. And these two are pretty much the eyes, ears, nose, the full 5 senses of ISIS. Not that you won't be after this, but you never know.
I've not been called that before, no.
Pretty awesome though, right?
Maybe I'll put that on business.
Maybe I should just come to all these things and speak and talk.
You should.
I remember hearing something about being the ass of ISIS, but
That's-
that's being streamed. I totally
Yeah,
forgot.
that's right. By the way, we are being streamed live right now. We're on the internet. So, what you say and do in this room, others in the international world will hear it and see it and smell it and taste it. 5 seconds, you're good to go. Who's online? Can you tell who's online?
I can't.
No? All right. Well, I welcome that with much
Millions are watching at home.
Millions. The millions. All right, so we're going to learn about our ISIS membership tonight. So those of you who are not members, this is going to be an awesome introduction of why you should become members. Those of you who are members and feel like you're not getting your membership fulfilled to its fullest possibilities, this is how we're going to figure it out tonight. And you're going to get a lot of good information, maybe some stuff you already knew, but guess what? It's a good refresher course, and we'll have some fun with it. So we're going to start our topics off right here with local and global reach. We know that ISIS is just not our local chapter. How many people think that they're members of ISIS Orlando? Raise your hand. Guess what? You're not. You're members of ISIS. It's an international organization. We're just affiliated with the Orlando chapter. That's how it works. So you guys, Jody, can you tell us a little about the reach and how far and wide and big it goes?
Yeah, we have 51 chapters located all over the world right now, and so we have a huge international broad association, and I think that's one of the things that we talk a lot about when we are out meeting with our membership is to really help understand the kind of connections that you can have, not just within your local association, which, to be very honest, is what I joined ISIS for, was when I was 23 years old, I needed to meet people and I wanted to get better connected in my local market. And so I saw the opportunity that an organization like ISIS provides. But as I went through time in my membership, I quickly figured out sort of the broad scope of an organization like this, and I now have the great fortune of being able to go into cities all over the place and know people and to be able to pull resources from various places and just to get different ways people are doing things and to be able to sit down over a glass of wine and talk with somebody can be really powerful in understanding like the different ways that we all approach pieces of business and that kind of thing. So that's been really an unexpected benefit to me of an organization like this that I wouldn't have necessarily known was there a long time ago.
So a lot of you may say, well, I only deal here in Orlando. And first of all, the importance of ISIS within your local chapter is huge. It's important. It can be a defining group, a defining community in your, event industry here. But the global reach is just as important. Now, if you say, again, I've never left the U.S. when I do work. I've never left Orlando, some people say. I never leave my market, so who cares? Who cares about the I in International Special Ed Society? 4 years in to my involvement both in the industry and in ISIS, I received probably my number 1 or number 2 largest event still to date, and probably technically most difficult because of my involvement in ISIS in the Philadelphia chapter. I was an officer there. I received the call that went down the line. It came from London, and it was 3,000 people. It was in the center of Philadelphia. It was an amazing, amazing event. Now, that is just showing you the world comes here. So just because you don't go elsewhere, the world is coming here. So how are you building your network to come to you? Now, fast forward 20 years later, or 16 years later, and the largest piece of business I've ever been involved in from a financial standpoint, and it was given to me because of my reach that I know through ISIS. It's been 27 city tour in 18 months. And 16 of those were international cities. And they said, who can do this? And I said, I know everybody in each of those cities. And that's part of this notion of being global and being able to connect. And I think that's the power of the global nature of this.
And I think people get lost a little bit in the idea of global sometimes, and especially we have a plethora of people just domestically even, and especially in a city like Orlando where there is so much inbound business. You hear stories all the time about people that met somebody at a random networking event at an industry conference, and several months later are getting called for a huge piece of business that because they happen to run across somebody in the lobby of a hotel. And that might come from Las Vegas going into San Antonio or Chicago coming into Orlando, but an organization like this and the kind of community that it builds gives you the kind of opportunity to build those bridges in an easier way, I think.
And speaking of community, we're talking with the forum access on the ISES website.
That's right.
Being part of that is it helps tremendously.
One of the biggest mysteries is how people do business around the world. I just read an article in Inc. magazine. If you're in business, please subscribe to Inc. or Fast Company, but great magazines to learn from. We're talking about this one company out of San Francisco that's entirely transparent. Everything is put out to the world about what they do. Now, most people feel like, I don't want anybody seeing my company naked. Like, nobody wants to walk out naked in front of other people. But when you put yourself out there, what they realize is we get responses and answers and solutions faster because everybody connects with us. So something like the forum, if none of you are familiar with it, it's a place where people ask questions and people give answers. And the more you ask and the more you give, the more you get. You will start to get answers from more people and get more of than you wondering about it in your offices day in and day out. So utilize this, and this is a global, the interwebs allows us to get everywhere. So you can see how people are revolutionarily doing stuff around the world. Why not tap into that? But you need to be involved. You can't be passive with it. So be transparent, be out there and open yourself up, and people love getting solutions or ideas or quote unquote commiserating. It's like, I go through the same thing. Here's what we've learned.
I think people get hung up a little bit because there's some vulnerability in admitting, like, I don't know how to fix this, right? Like, I'm afraid to put out to this huge global organization that I don't know the answer to this question, so I'm just going to sit on it and try to figure it out on my own. But the time frame of getting an answer is so much faster. And I, of course, in my position right now, follow that community very closely, and the sort of engagement in it has picked up a lot in the last several years, and so that's a great place for just reaching out and getting those kinds of answers that you might need, or even posing new ideas, like, here's this, hey, we figured out how to do this in a new kind of innovative way. It's a great opportunity to do that as well.
And we're talking over 50 chapters internationally. We got London, we got Australia, Eurasia. I mean, we just formed one in Nigeria.
Yep.
I mean, me personally, I saw that like, who's going to Nigeria for a conference? I mean, really, but at the same time, they do this in Nigeria, and we because of this whole group, we all have information to just share with those people. So opening up that forum is fantastic. No questions stupid. Just stupid people asking no questions, right? Is that right? Am I wrong? Chasing, So, any questions about any of our local and global reach? I mean, here for local reach, we partner with people, and we had our ISES exchange for a while, and you can kind of see how people did that. And we had a charity that we give to for ISES Gives Back and all that fun stuff as well, and our ACES event. So, there's a local reach there that we give back to there. Anybody have any questions for these guys while we're on this topic of local and global reach?
I'm going to throw one last thing out, sorry. I don't know if any of you have seen, we recently started a global partnership program, and the global partnership program is an opportunity for us. We've reached out to a number of organizations, and we've created really great working partnerships with them, and out of that came a new event that we are hosting in conjunction with Visit Scotland and IMEX Frankfurt, and we have invited 25 of some very high high-level event professionals from all over the world that we worked with Visit Scotland and INEX to kind of curate that list of people that they really want to have an opportunity to meet with. And we're pulling all of those people together for a 3-day really deep dive summit and really diving into sort of the future of the events industry and how we can really start to see some really great change in our industry and the kinds of things that we're doing, and really start to understand the dynamics of our world and the economics behind the work that we do. And we're going to be publishing a white paper and really finding some data out of that. So I think there's a lot of really good global impact that's going to come out of that, and I'm really proud. So I hope that you guys will look for that data when it comes out. I think there's going to be a ton of really good information that comes out of it.
Part of what we do on the international level is try and build global brand. By us doing that, it actually strengthens your local brand. We know that people being a part of something that just occurs here, people go, okay, that's nice. But when you have the strength and ability to say, this is a recognized and industry-leading organization, that's when the cachet of both membership and what you get out of it just starts to increase. So you're going to start seeing not only, we hope, a more robust local and national stuff, but stuff globally as well. So.
I mean, just the process of going through getting the right people in the room put us in front of some of the biggest companies and sort of biggest players in the world, and allowed us the opportunity to tell them the ISES story and kind of who we are. And even if they're not sending somebody necessarily this year, we still got the opportunity to tell them about who we are and who our members are and the reach that our industry has, and to ask for their engagement with our people. And I think it's going to be really beneficial to us in the long run. So.
Awesome. Okay, very good. Next up, we're going to talk about one of the educational proponents and our designation, the CSEP. And how many people are CSEPs in the room?
Hey.
Very proud of you. Just leave it into that. 10 years, Stacy. 15 years. Come on, Stacy. You're not bragging. Notice the CSEPs are in the back of the room. They're all in the back of the room. All right, very good. So, for those of you who do not know what a CSEP is, Jody, tell us what it is.
The CSEP is the designation that is owned and managed by ISES. That stands for the Certified Special Event Professional. It is a 2-part exam that has a multiple choice component that is knowledge-based. It isn't just a vocabulary test. It is it's going to ask you to apply some institutional and kind of industry knowledge to answer some questions. And then there is actually a short answer component, which for a certification exam is incredibly unique. There aren't a lot of, I think we might be the only one out there. And when we went to a certification company and asked them and told them what we wanted to do, they were like, no, you can't do that. It doesn't exist. And we said, but we really want to. And so a group of people actually worked with a certification company that builds these kinds of exams, and they built it. And the short answer essay portion is also testing your ability to take your knowledge as an event professional and apply it to an event situation. So it isn't asking you to answer a bunch of vocabulary questions, like I said. It's actually about taking knowledge that you've gained over the years and being able to articulate that to somebody that the kind of knowledge that you have about working in the events world.
And there's a unique difference. So a lot of you may hear or see, because schools are really coming into this notion of let's provide event education, undergraduate, graduate degrees, but then there's a lot of groups that do certificate programs. Okay? So a certificate really is, I finished this course. That's what that means. I took the course, I passed the final exam, here's your certificate. A certification, like the CSEP, is a demonstration of your experience. It's a demonstration of knowledge. So some brainiac kid in Taiwan can't take a book, memorize it, and pass the exam. You actually have to know how to apply these things. So it's actually a very good indicator for people to know this person has, certainly at least as a baseline, this amount of knowledge about event production.
And it's actually judged by, that part of it is actually judged by humans that are certified event professionals. So it isn't judged by a computer, it's actually judged by people that have gone
give me an example of like a short answer question.
Well,
Can you describe at least 5 to 7 event elements that you must include in this to achieve the goals or objectives of the event?
because basically you're going to get a couple of event scenarios that you get to select from. They're going to give you all of the basic descriptions, and then you pick one, and you're basically going to answer a whole bunch of questions about the event that you chose to talk about. And we have a content outline that basically walks you through all of the pieces of information that we would expect that someone of the proficiency level that we would want to pass the certification exam should be able to talk about intelligently. And you can use that to apply to answering the questions.
So there's no BES in your way through it?
100% you can't.
Okay.
There's definitely no guessing on that one. You must type in, you can do bullets, you can do short sentences. It's not like you're writing a novel, but there's, write out your budget for this event.
Gotcha.
In fact, I would say one of the things that I hear a lot from people is they're scared of it, and they're like, I don't think I can pass it. And like, if you are working successfully and you're doing this every day, I believe that the vast majority of people can pass the exam if they prepare. What we have established the test to be is exactly what Kevin said. We don't want some 19-year-old in Taiwan to be able to pick up a book and memorize it and pass it, because it delegitimizes what the whole intent of an exam like that is supposed to be. But it's in our best interest if we build an exam that can test the knowledge that you have, that you're using every day. So I don't want people to walk away feeling like, oh my God, it's too hard, I can't take it. You can absolutely take it. You just have to take the time to prepare for it and practice. And there's tons of information out there. I would be happy to talk to anybody if you're even on the fence about thinking about taking it. I have spoken to lots of people about this. There's lots of kind of insider kind of preparation tips that we can give you to help you understand how to best set yourself up to be able to pass this exam.
So I'm in the industry 10 years. I've done a bunch of events. I feel like I'm ready to take the test. What are the benefits of taking this test? Why should I be a CSEP?
Well, there's a couple of ways to look at it. When I took it, I was one of these like, I'm going to prove myself. So you have to work 3 years in the industry to take it. So on the anniversary of my 3rd year of hiring, I sat for the exam to take it because I wanted to prove and show that I know how to do that. The process is simplistic. First of all, just go online. The website is there. Read everything you need to do about it. If you're ready to take the exam or you think you want to get in the process, sign up, you pay your money, and then you can take it in whatever window you want. 4 times a year. Here in Orlando, you can take it. You go to a computer lab, you sit down, and you take it. Other than I want to prove it to myself, the ability, the ability to say, this is my demonstrated experience is huge. Now, how big is it currently? It's not as big as other things. It's not like having an MD or a PhD, right? We're not at that level yet, but that's what we're trying to get to. We're trying to get to the point where we say our industry has a certain level of standard, of operation, of professionalism, of proficiency. The people who are working in this industry know how to execute. And you can't do that unless you have accepted standards of practice. And that's what this is. Now, I was saying when we were talking earlier, it only works if 2 things happen. 1, people actually take the exam and sign up to do it. And 2, if you're not taking it or if you already have it, if you're in the world, start asking about it. The people who are applying for a job at your company, have you taken the CSEP? Are you planning on taking the CSEP? Have you gotten this certification? Because what happens is as more people ask and demand it, more people start to get it. The bigger it becomes, the more of a standard for our industry it becomes, and it raises the level of our game. Anytime we raise the level of our game as an industry, you know what we get to do? Charge more. Think about retirement, folks. Get your CSEP.
Well, and understanding where, like, everyone in this room might have a different reason for wanting to take it, and sort of understanding where various people might be at in the sort of spectrum of time that you might be looking at it. And, when I took my CSEP, it was vying for some of the same jobs that I was. And for me, that was important. And I think Kevin and I will say we're both kind of type A competitive people. And so it was about, for me, like Kevin, part of it was about like proving myself that I could do it too. But I think as you go over time, what the value of a CSCP for me has changed a little bit, and that now it's about me helping my staff understand why I want them to do it. And part of that is about, because the way that the exam is structured is not like if you're a caterer or if you're a lighting professional or if you're an entertainer or a florist, the exam's not going to test your knowledge as a florist. It's going to test your knowledge of the events industry and the way that what your piece of the business fits into that pie. And I think we can all agree that if we all understand the work that each other are doing and the challenges that we all face in kind of that successful execution of events that we're doing every day, that we're actually going to do better work for our clients, we're going to be more successful in the long run. Because if I understand the challenges and the things that Jason needs on site to be successful, then I'm going to do a better job as a planner in making sure that I've set him up to be successful. And if he understands the challenges that I have as a planner, he can work better to make sure and mitigate some of those as well. So I think that's the way I've started to talk about the CSCP to people, is that, you know, we're going to be able to do better cohesive events if we all have good baseline understanding of that cross-functionality that we have to work with every day. And I think that's really powerful.
Beautiful. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
So you said that not really a florist can, even on the test, but do you think the test is more from like event planning perspective?
That I didn't actually say a florist couldn't take the test. The way the test is structured is, so it's not going to ask you the very specific details about building a floral arrangement. The test isn't going to test your ability as a florist. What the test is going to test is your ability to understand the big picture and to be able to understand, and what I tell people when they're preparing for the exam all the time is, like, I judge a lot of these, as I'm sure Kevin does. And like, don't make me dig for the answer. And so basically, if the question asks you, when the question asks you the question, answer the question. And they don't need all the flowery language, and you're not writing a business proposal. What they want to understand is your understanding of what that particular component of the exam fits into the bigger event. And as a florist, are you a florist? Okay. As a florist or an entertainer, I believe that we all should be able to answer those kind of questions about the way that the business all comes together on site. And I'm an event professional. I don't profess to be a florist, but I know that I need to hire a good florist. I know that I need to hire somebody that has the kinds of experience that are necessary to do the kind of work that I want. I know to go hire the right kind of lighting company that I know is licensed and insured and all of those things. I don't need to be able to talk to the level of, I know that I need to rig to this weight or these kinds of lights, but I need to know the questions that I need to ask.
And I would probably say to your question, planners probably have an advantage, I would say, because their world day in, day out is the big picture. But that doesn't mean that the information is so specific that you need to be a planner to take it. I know musicians who've taken it, I know caterers who've taken it. Knowing something about load-in, knowing something about venues, knowing something about a production schedule, knowing something about budgeting, everybody deals with these things. And so you should be able to, like you said, know the big picture. So, but it's not designed for a planner. But because of what they do day in, day out, they probably have a slight advantage over everybody else.
Anybody else? Okay.
Don't stand there. That's on the exam.
CSCP.
Don't stand in front of a speaker with a mic. B.
No, I have a question. So if I am somebody looking to find somebody that's a CSAP, is there a website and database I can go to and search by my location? I'm trying to find somebody that has a CSAP in that area that I'm looking to hire.
It's in progress.
Okay.
Now, isn't it currently on the Find a Member can't you select the CSCP? But that only includes members, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So if you go to the website and say find a member, one of your search criteria can be that they are a CSCP. Just know, you don't have to be a member to have your CSCP. So there are a ton of CSCPs out there who aren't ISES members. So the website will only show you people who are currently up to date with their membership.
But eventually, like a CMP or a DMCP, we will be able to search that eventually in the database.
It is on our
Long to-do
list of things that we are looking to get done, and
Shortly.
it should be happening soon.
In this search that you were just talking about, can I find florists?
Yes.
Can I find entertainers? Can
Yeah.
I
I
find-
think I would love to clean it up, but I believe there's something like 38 categories that you can search by.
If you go to ISES.com and on the left-hand side and the second little bubble down, there's a thing that says find a member. If you click on that, you can search by first name, last name, chapter, business,
Region, address.
There's the 25 different things you can search by.
I mean, I remember not being able to find somebody's business card and then going online and remembering one thing about them when I met them and finding them in the database. It's a pretty powerful tool, and for people who travel like I do a lot, one of the best tools I've ever experienced. And again, that has nothing to do with you traveling. That has something to do with if I come to your town, how am I finding you?
How do we check to see if we're on this list? If we're new?
ISIS.com, find a member, and see if you show up. And if you don't,
I can help you.
talk to Sarah.
If you're joining online, as soon as you join and your membership dues
Clear.
process, you should be showing up relatively shortly after that. If you're sending in checks, it takes time for your check to clear and that kind of thing, but we just invested a fairly sizable chunk of money in investing in upgrading our very old database program over the last 2 years. So it is a lot stronger, powerful program that we have right now. And
Stuff should become more instantaneous.
yeah,
But I think we do checks just for saving money, just like once a month or twice a month. So old-fashioned way, it may take a couple of weeks if you send your money in.
Anybody else? Nice. Those are good questions.
All right.
All right, so we talked about the CSCP being the certification part of the education process, but now we're talking about education. ISES Live is our conference where we go and learn. If you're on the board, we do leadership prior to. Great place to find out a little, get a little pregame, see what we're going to learn about and what's going down the pipeline from the board of governors and all that stuff. But when we get into ISES Live, that's when all the education comes out. We learn from other professionals in the industry. You guys talk about we have new platforms coming up, but tell us a little bit about our core values.
Yeah, well, I think so. There's 3 platforms we'd love to talk to you about, and I think John will start with. So you may have heard, especially for your leadership core curriculum. So I don't know if you want to lead off with that.
yeah. So Kevin and I both actually were involved in the creation of a committee that we have at the international level called the Education Council. That was established a number of years ago after there was a lot of discussion at the board level and at the international committee level about really needing to make sure and wanting to be able to provide some sort of consistency level in our education platform from chapter to chapter to chapter. Because every month there's an education program happening in Orlando, and there's an education program happening in Minneapolis and in New York and in Boston. And we were hearing that the quality and sort of style of what's being taught at all of those chapters is vastly different. And so the council actually set out to try to provide some framework around the types of language that we use, the content, the general content outline of the work that we're doing. And out of that discussion came what we are calling the core curriculum. It's a sort of really big word for a big, long list of all the stuff that we want event professionals and our chapters to be able to talk about. And this is a tool that at the chapter level you can actually use to look for ideas for chapter programs. It helps, it can be given to speakers to be able to say, here's sort of the content that we would like to have covered at this meeting. And as one of the things up there is our core values, and we as an organization have we've identified 5 core values.
Anybody know them?
Can anybody name one?
Creativity.
Creativity.
Starts with an I, but it's not integrity.
It's
Integration.
Right? There's hugging, right? Hugging is one of them, right? Is that
No.
Shrinking.
not hugging?
Not hugging.
Okay.
No. Teamwork, education, and relationships. And so, obviously, education being sort of one of the tenets of what our organization is all about, this was really important to us to be able to really provide some tools to our chapters, to be able to provide some consistency, and to really help drive the overall education level of our industry, which is, I think, good for all of us in the long run. And we've put a lot of time and effort into being able to provide some good documentation in the chapters that you can use for doing that. And out of that actually came a lot of the discussion of how we ended up building out ISES Live to be able to provide a really unique educational platform. You want to talk about what we're doing with that?
So give me a conference, big event, trade show conference that happens in the event industry.
TSE,
Special event, what else?
Cater Source, Event Solutions.
Will you stop answering all of them?
You can hear me the best on the street.
Oh, okay. Oh, I'll repeat it. Any other conferences? Biz Bash? World Balloon Convention. IMAX, absolutely. There's a ton of them. And they provide amazing services to the professionals in our industry. They have education in certain topics. Most of them have a giant trade show. They're all for-profit entities, right? So they service our industry in a certain way. ISES is not here to create education or learning that potentially, especially on the larger scale, the international scale, competes with things that aren't being provided to our industry. Our goal is the improvement of the industry. So there are for-profit entities that are providing us with giant trade shows. We're not going to create a giant trade show. If they're doing stuff that relates to, working in the weddings industry or working on, on production or what have you, we're not going to delve into that. It's already provided by the market. So what we did a few years ago with ISES Live was we decided to pivot to a niche, one that we see as the future of our financial backbone in our industry, and also one that's wholeheartedly underserved in an advanced way. You'll always see a class here or a class there, but creativity. Our currency is our creative ability. It's what sets us apart from every other live event market segment. Events are far more creative than meetings and conferences and symposia and trade shows. We are the most creative. But there isn't a conference that is focusing on that for rich content. So for ISES Live, our goal is to create groundbreaking, new formats, incredible content around this world of creativity and how its impact on the business of events. I mean, we never want to forget the fact that we're about the business of events, right? So we do have to focus on how this impacts our world, our companies, etc. So it's not just how to do something creatively, but it really takes a different look at it. And so we're changing formats of how we do things, and we're trying to make it a much richer experience than most other conferences that have 5,000, 8,000 people at it. This is 300, 600, somewhere in that world. We can do a lot of greater things that way. So that's sort of the new platform as I would take it, that ISES Live has taken. Many of you remember Event World. This is the shift. This is where we're going with what we're considering on our global level, our educational offering.
And just to add to that, like the kinds of classroom experiences that you're going to have at ISES Live are very different than what you might experience at other conferences. It is sort of very interactive and engaging types of education sessions, sort of TED style, throughout most of the day. So you have the opportunity to hear snippets of a number of presentations and be able to then delve deeper into other sessions that you might be more interested in. So it's a very big departure from what we have been doing for a lot of years, and it has proven to be really engaging to our attendees. So
still evolving. It's a tough move to switch and shift. It's a big move, but we're getting there, and we think we're going to end up with a great product.
I'm curious because I've been around ISES for a long time, and I haven't been ISES Live yet. Are you sourcing education from kind of outside of?
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
World, or are we kind of self-serving our?
No. So, and we actually had an interesting swing of the pendulum both ways, and we're finding that perfect spot. But one of our main goals was stop feeding on ourselves. Everybody has heard so many people. So I can tell you, when we were in Seattle, one of the creative director of Sub Pop Records. If any of you are familiar with Broadway, there's a show called Allegiance. The person who is the producer of that spoke on managing a creative team and bringing something. A Broadway show is like an event. It just takes longer and runs longer, but that process is amazing to hear. We had an architect at the very first one who talked about the design of spaces.
A fashion designer, a film producer.
Yes. So the goal, though, is not to be entirely as if. We always want to bring back the relevance to events and bring in there's incredible creativity within our industry. We just need to stop hearing from the same people, from the same organizations. And that is our goal for that as well.
And even more than that is, like, even if we do use familiar faces from time to time, it's about pushing that outside of the same presentation that person might be giving at the special event show or at Cater Source or at any of the other number of conferences that you all mentioned. It's about building something that's really unique to the kind of education that we're talking about doing. And so that's not to say you're never going to see some of the familiar faces that we have in our industry, but we've definitely gone to them and said, we would like you to speak, and here's the kinds of things we would like you to build a presentation about.
No open call for presentations. There's no open call for presentations. It is, this is what we want, and here's how we work incredibly well with the presenters in advance to curate what they're giving, and that it's poignant and worthwhile. And you know, part of what we do at ISES, I'm always attached to it, is leadership, and I think that's one thing also that's a new platform. One of the things that if you're an employee at a company, you say, well, what's the value? I don't know any business owner who wouldn't say, I would love for all my employees to have greater leadership skills. And working and volunteering in an association like this is one of the best ways to develop leadership skills. I know Jody has been working hard on as a volunteer, we've got a new platform for bringing leadership skills and training and teaching to all of you.
And I think we started some of that in New Orleans last year with our ISES Live. We really changed up the style of the leadership training that we did at that session. It was much more interactive. We did a lot more engaging delivery of content rather than talking head person standing in front of the room. That's actually where the idea for a session like this came from. And we're actually taking that into another iteration now, and we're going to be, we have actually built out a year-long leadership curriculum. So we've identified the various points along the year where our leaders generally get together, and we're building out a leadership curriculum, and we're going to be able to articulate the kinds of things that you're going to learn at each of those steps along the way. We're creating webinars to deal with some of the more operational, kind of basic chapter operations things that you guys actually need to have presented more frequently because of the turnover that you might have at the chapter level for things like finances and membership and those kinds of things. And we're going to talk more strategy and more big picture stuff when we all get together. And then the last iteration of that is we're actually going to be doing what we're calling leadership roadshows, and we're taking leadership training out into the regions. And so in addition to the bigger kind of national level leadership training that we are doing at the special event show and at ISES Live, we're also now bringing really specific leadership training into each of your regions, where an officer and a member of staff from our headquarters in Chicago are going to be coming in and dealing with some really high-level kind of leadership training at the regional level, which would allow you a little bit more interactive one-on-one time with the executive team and with our leaders. So we're really excited about it. I think it's going to be a really great next step in our leadership plans and curriculum. And please look for when the roadshow is. It's in Charlotte in May 22nd, 23rd in Charlotte. If you have the opportunity to go, I definitely encourage you to do that. And if you're in the room and you're not on the board or on a committee, talk to somebody that is. Come talk to Kevin or I. I would be happy to tell tell you more about that, and we're going to talk about it a little bit later, I think, as well. But the biggest, best piece of advice I can give you is if you're going to be a member of this association, get involved and do something on a committee or as a board member, because you will see the benefits of that in big, big ways. So.
Very nice. Any more questions about education? Again, these are all benefits. Go ahead.
Who do you see that in working with someone?
One of the lovely board members from your local chapter would be very happy to help you get involved.
They all have different blue name badges on, so they'd be more than happy to
Yes.
talk about it.
But if you'd like to tweet, you're my best friend. Because that's what I have to do with the board. I've been on the board for like 10 years.
You said 14
It could have been
so I think
it's just,
like,
I love it. It's everything I can do to contain myself. But, you know, I got to pass the torch.
kind of like a cult.
It is. That's the fun part about it too. We're getting more involved in that. So let's talk about fun. By the way, that's your RVP right there. That's JC, or he's your regional vice president too. He's from here. He's in charge of the company. If you have questions, you can definitely ask him, because obviously they keep going to JC because this one retains everything. So you just talk a lot. You talk. I mean, I'm just saying you get to speak more often. That's what
I feel like I should like drop my mic and leave or something.
Now, we're talking about frequency of speaking, not
I was
amount
like,
of speaking.
I get told that I talk a lot sitting next to the
No, you speak about this a lot more often than JC does, so it's fresh in his mind, that's all.
Moving
I love you
on.
too. Alright, so what we're gonna do right now, you know what, this is what we're gonna do, we're gonna play a game. You guys ready to play a game?
Yeah.
Alright, we're gonna play right now, we're gonna play a little practice game. Everybody remember the 10,000, 100,000 dollar pyramid brought to you by, I don't know who produced it.
Dick Clark.
Dick and Clark.
Dick and
I don't know Dick and Clark. Dick Clark Productions, I guess, what they mean. Alright, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna show some topics up here. JC's got it set up. We're gonna show some topics up here, but we're gonna figure out which one of you wants to go first, alright? So if you guys can stand up. And I'm gonna play TV theme song. First one to get it.
Oh, God, I know this is terrible.
First one to get it gets to choose whether or not they want to play first, okay? You ready? Please
Do we only get one guess, or can we keep guessing?
Well, these
Keep guessing, first one to get it?
Yeah, first one to get it. You guys ready?
Okay.
Yeah, JC, please. Please do your job. Thank you. Here you go, first clue. First one.
Backslide.
Yes, all right, you get to choose which one you want. First or second?
It's totally an unfair game. You
You
don't
know
have to
which
like
one?
TV or movies.
No, two out of three. Keep it moving. Keep it moving.
All right, cool. All right, Kevin, you go first or second?
I will go first.
All right, your topic's going to be Orlando. All right. Now, we need to find somebody in the audience who wants to play Kevin.
Don't be afraid. We're really nice.
Stacy, come on up.
Stacy's good at this game. All right, this is good. This game's we played. How many people, none of you people under the age of probably
35.
35-ish understand how this game is played, but you'll understand in a second. Stacy, we're playing the pyramid. What you're going to do, Stacy, yes, we're going to show you things in Orlando, Stacy, and all you have to do is describe to Kevin there without saying exactly what it is. So if the,
Try to get as many as possible.
yeah, so if the clue was Jason Logan, it would be beautiful, sexy, handsome, sitting right next to you. That kind of thing. Right?
Jody Paul.
Yeah,
And you're allowed to pass, right?
You are allowed to pass. We're going to give you 30 seconds.
Okay.
30 seconds on the clock. You guys ready?
Yes.
JC, go.
Big wheel, neon light.
Ferris wheel.
It's called the city, and you mentioned it earlier. Pass.
Passing.
Okay, ears, big
Mickey
ears,
Mouse.
yeah.
There you go.
And there's
Clapping. Shamu. Super.
reptile.
Dragon.
And there's a place for it. Skip it. Okay, okay, so there's a wizard and he drinks this stuff.
Harry Potter.
Yeah, and he drinks this stuff.
Potion.
It's a tasting, it tastes like butter.
Oh, no. What is it?
Time's up.
That's all right.
How many are right?
We're going to negative.
Are you
Oh, you're gonna
Joey,
lie?
you get next on this one? Is that what you're telling me? All right, Joey, you're up. Let's go.
All right. No. We gotta check out some.
We'll find somebody else. All right, who wants to play with Jody? Come on. Make some noise.
Somebody.
Aaron, Tharp, let's go. Aaron. Aaron, you're good at this. Let's go.
Are we doing this right?
We'll go again. Here we go.
We're doing the same category?
Yeah, same
I've
category.
seen all of them.
No, you haven't. There's like a bunch more.
We have more.
So we're still doing Orlando.
We're still doing Orlando.
Okay, we're starting. Now we're one of the
No,
We get started. That would be really
Yeah,
great.
I just saw all those. So.
Aaron Tharp, what do you do for a living?
I work for Hello Florida.
And what do you do in Hello Florida?
Creative person.
So you're creative, so you should do really well at this. This on the stage.
We can do it!
All right, here we
I
go.
hate to lose, by the way.
Ready? Go.
All right, so it's a whale that goes in the water.
Through the lake. Oh,
Sure,
Shiro.
yeah.
Shiro.
It's this road over here.
International Drive.
Yeah, but we shortened it.
I Drive.
Yeah. So there's a place with a big ball.
Epcot Center.
Yeah, but then they do this thing where you can eat and drink there. Like you can have some really great things that you eat.
Food and beverage.
But instead of beverage, it's like a cocktail. So
Food and drink.
Okay.
like cabaret.
Skip it.
So this is where they build these.
Time. So you won with 2 points. On
That was that's really hard.
We need to come to Orlando a bit more.
I think the hungry part.
That's how you do it.
Here's Orlando, I was just never done. All right, very nice. Good job. Good job on back to 1, 2.
How funny
I
was
should get a point for that.
You should have.
I can sing it as well.
I could sing it when you got past note 2.
You still won. Don't worry, we're going to go again. After
She's so competitive she complains when she wins.
I didn't win by enough. That's right.
She's good. All right, so we're moving on to the next topic involving Jody. Before we play that awesome game of which you won, you were talking about how people need to get involved, and absolutely, you got to give to get sometimes. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So tell us how we can make the most out of our membership. Briefly, I know there's a billion things you can do. Obviously, volunteering is one of them.
Yeah, I think more than anything else, if someone asked me what do I need to do to make my ISES membership worthwhile, as I said earlier, I think the best investment you can make, if you're going to pay the membership fee, make the investment of spending some of your time engaging into the organization, because it's so easy, I think, sometimes to pay the money and we get busy and we get wrapped up, and it's really easy to sort of lose track of what's happening. But I can attest, as I'm sure Kevin can as well, that every piece of time that I've invested into this organization, I've gotten back 100-fold. And one of the things that I've been doing, or that I've been working on a lot during my presidency, is trying to gather some of those powerful stories of people and what they've gotten out of their membership. And it's been really cool to read some of the stories that people have sent in about the little things that they did, or the sort of one step outside of their comfort zone that they took, and how much that mattered to the long-term success of their membership and their involvement in the organization. And sometimes it really just was that one step that they took. And I think we all have to sort of look for what it is that you feel passionately about. When I first got involved, I looked for the opportunities where I knew that I could dive in and do something successfully, because I knew that that was going to be the best way that I could engage in with other people that I wanted to work with. And I was really young at the time, and I felt like I needed to prove myself. And as I've gone through the organization, what I looked for as a leader and what I have needed as sort of my growth development has changed. And, as you get older, then you start to look for ways that you can give back, as opposed to what am I gleaning out of this organization. So I think really, really identify what it is that you connect to about what ISES does, and find ways that you can contribute in those areas. And you'll actually see that start to come back to you in big ways. And I imagine that people on your local board here would say the same thing, and that communities that you feel when you come into a room like this get much bigger and tighter and amazing as you start to really get to know know people on a personal level and you build those relationships. So I think that is probably the biggest thing that I would say.
Any of you have a road trip with somebody? Raise your hand. Anybody raise your hand? You still talk to that person? You still talk? What'd you learn about that person?
Too much.
Too much. So, but that allows you to make great decisions about who that person is, what they are, what their abilities are, what they're not. Involvement in this association is one of it is your way of putting both your company brand and your personal brand out there to other people. It's like a months-long job interview, so to speak, but for business, for what you want to put out there to other people. There's nothing on a piece of paper, on an email, on a Facebook page, on a, let me start going into uncharted territory for me, on a Snapchat account. Nobody's going to yik-yak their way into a job. But the notion of working together towards a common goal that you both believe in is one of the best ways of selling yourself. And so you make a decision to be involved in ISES, and that's one of the main powers of being involved, is that dynamic. We all know events work better than other marketing because you learn so much more. Well, involvement is so much more impactful than writing a check and being, I'm a member now, I should get stuff. So I want you to think about that. And there's three things that occur when you become involved. You either A, learn from people, which is one of the best reasons to do it. B, you have some kind of impact on the industry for what you're doing here locally, which a lot of people enjoy. And third is, you change yourself. You learn managing a team, working with others, better communication, emotional intelligence. What is the market like? Who are the players in the market? What does it take to do an event that I've never worked on, but the chapter is working on it? And these are all ways to improve what you're doing. So I don't want you to think about involvement as a burden, but as an investment in learning things you can't learn any other way.
I actually have that conversation with my boss. Like, I've been a member of this organization for 16 years. I work at a liberal arts school, and I don't come to ISES meetings because I need to sell business. I just don't. That's not why I belong. I've not ever needed the organization for those purposes. But what I am able to articulate, and trust me, in the role that I'm in, Augsburg has invested a lot of money in my involvement in this organization over the years. And I have had, every year, I have a conversation with my boss that says, here's why I'm better at my job at Augsburg because of ISES. And I can point to a long list of things that I bring back to my job in the way that I manage my employees, in the way that I manage meetings, the ways that I interact with challenging people at work on a regular basis. Like, these are things that really, really make me better at my job. And I would have had a really difficult time learning those kinds of things on the job because it's harder to be vulnerable, right? When you're in your day-to-day job, it's hard to be vulnerable and to learn those kinds of things as you go because you're less willing to sort of step out of your comfort zone and take a risk. But when you can come into an organization like ISES and learn as you go and learn from other people that are in kind of the same situation as you, it's easier to do that. And I have seen so much benefit, and I hear from lots of people all the time that experience that same kind of thing. So it isn't always about the bottom line in a piece of business. It can sometimes be really about bettering yourself and your professional development, and that can go a long way.
Yeah, you got to put yourself out there. Education definitely is one of the main reasons why, why this organization is here. But I mean, my business wouldn't be where it was if I wasn't an ISES member. Number one, number two, being on the board. Number three, going to ISES Live, Event World, those things, and being part of the whole international crew. I mean, you see people from Dallas, you see people from Seattle, from London, and you get to hang out, you get to talk, and we're all like-minded people.
And it isn't always just about like sitting in a room like this and being able to learn and listen to somebody teach. It can be sitting in the lobby having a conversation with someone about how they handle a particular challenge, or just talking about like the things that are driving you crazy and talking to somebody that's been like, yeah, I get it, I've been there, or here's how we handle that. You know, it can be those informal conversations that can be really powerful, and can sometimes those are the biggest benefits that I take home from things like ISES Live is those side conversations that I learned like that light bulb moment for me.
Yeah, you gotta put yourself out there. JC's done it. And I know you two have. Proud of both of you. You guys have any more questions about this for these guys? Anything? I mean, I know if you guys want to be on the board, you can talk to any of these ladies up here. They're online. And right now we're looking for board members, are we not?
True story.
Nominations are coming up. So now's the perfect time to get on the board. Yes, sir.
Do we have to be a member for so many months or years before we could join the board?
Yeah. We pulled
There's no time requirement. I will say a lot of times we tell people sometimes it's in your benefit to get your feet wet on a committee first because it helps you to understand kind of the inner workings of the organization and to get the dynamics a little bit. But lots of people come on and get onto the board quickly. I do tell people more often than not, though, that in a perfect world, the best case scenario is to come up through a committee, but.
All good? All right, so let's move on to this one. ROI. Because, of course, every boss here is like, why am I sending you on a Tuesday night and come in on a Wednesday all hungover? You get any business cards? Am I right? Sarah? I don't need to tell you, I like that. I like you. So, I mean, how do we go back to our boss and tell them, hey, this is what we're doing? I think you guys talked about being able to tell your bosses, but I mean, give us the one liner, the elevator speech.
So here's when coming to this, I was like, if I could get one point across, it would be kind of this little quick conversation. So
Take notes.
Take notes. So associations exist probably for two purposes, or have two directions that they take. One is what I would consider a quid pro quo. I'm going to pay you money, you're going to give me something incredibly tangible. I'm going to attempt as an association or as an organization to make money off it. That's the goal. That's why I'm here, is to make profit. You're trying to get a tangible benefit. So an example, some organizations exist just to be in a listing. So here's my $800, list me. Or here's my money, put me on a website. Done and done, right? Or I want to buy these documents. So you exist to create the documents, I'm going to buy them because it helps me do my business better. Done. Other associations exist to help raise the level of the industry. Now that's a much, much more difficult thing to do. Now I'm going to put it out there that ISES exists primarily to do that, to raise the level of the industry, right? To make it, our mission is to make a thriving events industry, right? It's inspirational, it's financially long-standing, you can make a good living on it, right? It's stable. This is what we are attempting to do as an organization. So that's not, hey, we're trying to help all these individual businesses. It's all the individual businesses are trying to help the industry itself. Now, why do that? Well, when you make the tide rise, as I said earlier, everybody does better. Right? As a group, we should be not fighting for a piece of the pie amongst ourselves. What we should be doing is working to create a giant pie and divvying it all up. Right? I'd rather work together and work from a bigger pie than fight with you over a smaller piece of the pie. So the question then becomes, so wait a second, you're telling me I'm going to write a check, and then I got to do work, and then it's just for the big benefit of the association? And the answer, to a degree, is yes. But I'll tell you why. One, again, there's the benefit of the whole tide rises, we all do better. Second of all, most local chapters, and even in the international level, there are incredibly tangible benefits. Some, sadly, you don't even know you have. Things with like FedEx, or I think it went to UPS at one point. At one time, Pier 1 Imports. You get all these discounts that would pay, within one event, would pay for itself. Nobody used them, because nobody saw the value in pay to play. So I gotta cut a check, spend time and energy and my money to be involved in something just to run? Well, no. The second part of this is ISES is a platform. ISES is a platform that exists, and it only exists because platforms only exist when communities put in time, energy, money. And when the platform exists, what happens? Anything you damn well want to do with that platform. So I'll give you some examples of platforms that exist that you know and use every day. And I ask you, what do you do with them? Magazine subscription. Who's got one? It's a platform. What do? You pay for it. When it arrives, does it do you any good? When it arrives, does it do you any good? No. You gotta read it. Then what do you gotta do with it? What if you read it and then you forget it? You gotta absorb it. Right, so you absorbed it. Now what? You gotta act on it. That's a platform. Why does it exist? Because people put the effort into do it, people pay, and people then use time and energy to do it. College. Why does college exist? Because people make donations and people pay tuition. Right? It's a platform. What do some people do with it? Spend 8 years doing nothing with it. What do some people do with it? Become the President of the United States from it. It's a network, it's learning, it's enrichment, it's a platform. Go to any religious organization. What is it? It's a platform. What do? You pay money so it exists, right? You put money in the coffers in some way. It's the only way it exists, right? And why does it also only exist? Because you have to show up. If people don't show up on the given Sabbath day, no, this doesn't exist. Now, what do you get out of it? It's a very simple answer. Whatever you put into it. What could you get out of it? A little knowledge on religion? A little feeling good? What if you got very involved with it? You paid money. What if you got very involved with it? What could you get out of it? Leader in the community? A little respect? Right? So this is the same thing. ISES is a platform. So you paid your money, and you got to show up. What do you get out of it? Whatever the hell you want to make out of it. There's a platform that exists for you to take as far as humanly possible. And it only exists if you show up, give energy, and you give money. So you say, what's the ROI? And I say, what are you planning on doing with the platform that exists? And that's your answer. Take that home.
I'm not even going to add on to that. I'm going to leave it there.
That's the best I've heard that one.
It's strange.
Did you notice he sat up?
Yeah, he got right in there.
Right in there.
Oh, you're on commercial break?
Really did see it reading soapbox. Man, that was good. I'm proud of it. Any questions on ROI? I mean, that's the definitive answer. Kate?
Anytime you talk to your boss, I also want you to remember leadership skills.
Yeah.
They apply to the business world. It's not just this meeting. We're learning about tabletop design. We're learning about creativity. It's managing a team. It's understanding people. It's emotional intelligence. It's building a network.
And if you are a boss, it is in your best interest and definitely in our entire industry's best interest for us to invest in the leadership skills of the younger, less experienced people on your teams. And this is I would wager to bet, the cheapest way that you can find out there to send the people in your organization to get the kinds of leadership skills that you would pay a lot of money for them to get elsewhere. This is an on-the-job training that also gives you the benefit of them being exposed to all of the other players in your local community, and you can't get that in other kinds of leadership development. I require my staff to belong and to get involved and to bring back and talk to me about what they're doing. And if you are a boss of other people, please help your employees invest in themselves, because it will pay big time for you. And even if they eventually leave your organization, it absolutely, to Kevin's point, brings all of our industry
Casey, tell us about the power of ISIS and how it has shaped your careers.
Well, I've said it earlier, I think, but I believe, not to be cliche, but like I believe very strongly that my career would not be where it was, and definitely my skill set wouldn't be where it was if it weren't for this organization. I am a farm kid from Iowa. I work at a liberal arts school in Minnesota that no one's ever heard of, and I have been able to position myself not only to be a leader in this organization, but to be able to feel confident in the company of some of the best event professionals in the world, and to be able to learn from them. And like, that's amazing. I would never have ever had that kind of opportunity and exposure to people that are doing what I aspired to be able to do if it weren't for the time and energy that I invested into the organization. I have met my best friends in this organization, people that I spend lots of time outside of ISES with. I have found almost all of my employees that I have hired over the years through the ISES network. I have gotten almost every job I've ever gotten through the ISES network. I could go on and on and on. This organization changed my entire trajectory of my career, and not to be over dramatic, but like in a lot of ways it very much changed my life, because when I first found ISES, I was floundering around a little bit, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do next. I was a marketing coordinator, I was bored, and I knew that I wanted to do something different. And when I showed up at an ISES meeting, I remember feeling like, holy crap, these are my people. You know, like these people get me in a way that I've never walked into a room and had that happen to me before. And that happens every time I walk into an ISES meeting anywhere. You go to ISES Live and you walk into the bar, and you can find 50 people that you might not have ever met before who are willing to sit down and talk to you just about what you do, who you are, what you want to do with your life. And you will be amazed how many times those weird little connections are gonna like find you again someday, and like, that's amazing, and I love that. I think that's incredibly powerful.
Yeah, and I mean, same thing in terms of life. So I mean, I could honestly say, if you join ISES, you will find a wife, have 2 kids, and be forced to move to Boston. This is just this is how it happens.
Or something like that.
Something along those lines. What's amazing about ISES is certainly the personal aspect of it. There's no other association that has this level of connection with people. We're an emotive group, right? We
hug a lot.
Wear our emotions on our sleeves, but we respect and enjoy that. So from a personal aspect, it's fantastic. In terms of your career, the best way I can describe ISES is an accelerant in all facets. And again, you have to work it. So if you want to go slow, sit in your own world. This is a platform to work. And what I loved is within 3 years of me being involved, I could pick up the phone and produce an event on 5 continents. As a producer, that is powerful. And for me, that network was just amazing. And then the other side of it for me was, I know my talent. I know what I can do. The world maybe doesn't. My boss does. That's great. But like I said, it's a job interview. Involvement is a job interview where people are buying your brand. And so if I want the world to know what I can do, boom, off we go. And it was fantastic to go into market after market and be involved. I've moved 3 times now since I've been 20 years. That's not a bad ratio, but 3 different cities. And I make family in all of those cities through ISES. And I wouldn't be where I am today without it. And I can meet people 12 years ago and see them again and pick up the conversation as if we just left a week ago. And this is the power. But see it for your career. See it as an accelerant. It speeds things up. When you live in a bubble, you go slow. But when you are in a group, you go fast.
I would also say one of the things that I find really gratifying, and I think it drives me a lot now, is, you know, as a 16-year member now, my sort of motivation for why I keep coming back has changed a lot over the years. it was very intrinsic. I needed a job, I needed a network, I needed a new job, I needed a tent rental company, and this was how I was going to find my network of people. And what's been really interesting to me over the years is how much I have actually become invested in being part of the group of people that are going to help bring about the kinds of change that our industry needs, and to help be part of the voice of our industry that are helping teach people about what we do, that help teach people outside of our little world about the economic benefit of things that events bring to the world, and the impact that it can be in your companies by hosting events, and what you can do from a marketing perspective with events. And the amount of money that's being spent every day on events across the globe is staggering. It's something like $25 billion a year. I see them looking over my head. So it's enormous, the kind of economic impact that our industry has, and we are infantile in our development as an industry, and we all get to be part of the group that's helping lead the front of helping the world understand what it is that we do, that we're not just party planners, that we are marketers, that we help people tell stories, that we create experiences, that we do things that change people's lives, and like we get to help drive that message. And that to me is what organizations like ISES, and quite honestly all the various hospitality industry organizations are uniquely positioned to do. And I understand very well that it's hard to go back to your boss and articulate why you need to belong to an organization because of those things. That's hard to translate into direct ROI, and I get that. But man, what an opportunity as an organization and as a leader to be able to be part of the group that's telling that story outside of our little world. So to me, there's nothing like that, and I think we are just figuring out how to do that, and I'm excited to see what we can do 10 years from now with the kind of platform that we have. So.
And because of your involvement, because you're on the international president, started from committee member all the way through, you two are helping shape the whole idea.
We all are.
My first volunteerism in ISIS was cutting out pictures that I saw before Photoshop. This was literally Photoshop. Cutting pictures, taping them on a piece of paper that I had tried to 20 times print the text of the event invite correctly on, made copies, everyone was on yellow paper, tri-folded them, put labels on, stapled them, put stamps on them, and mailed them out for the February ISIS event that was going to happen. This was long before, well, email existed, but we still mailed stuff out because not everybody reads email back then. It's the very first thing I did.
My first job at ISES, I worked the registration table. I showed up and I begged them to give me a job, and they were like, oh my God, this girl will not go away. Just let her work the registration table. And you know what? If you've got a new member that wants to get involved, it is absolutely the best thing that you can have them do. Absolutely the best job you can do as a new member is work the registration table, because you're going to meet every single person that walks in the door. And make it your mission, if you're going to do that, learn the people's names, learn their faces, that will come back and benefit you big time. And if you're a new member or new to the industry, best thing you can do if you're looking to meet people.
You talked about the involvement of sending things out that way in email. I mean, can you kind of give us a snapshot of where we're going, or how we've been there, where we were, and now where we're going, and the whole grand scheme for the next 5, 10, 25 years?
Well, there'll definitely be change.
Yeah.
That's for sure. I mean, the evolution is tough. Associations are, almost 70-year-old model. Now, what business would go, let's continue operating the way businesses did in 1930? It's tough. So where we take that is a very difficult thing. I think we committed to doing a few things, like there's never a need ever for local chapters to have to deal with technology issues. It should just be the heavy heavy lift of taking off and let international do that. Technology, we just want to leverage as much as humanly possible. But where the next network of bringing people together, providing education, networking, a lot of that's digital these days. So where are we competing versus not competing? Where's the next shift? This is what we talk about a lot.
And I don't think that's a unique challenge to ISES. I think every, and it's not a unique challenge to our industry. I think that is a challenge association-wide. The amount of associations that haven't experienced some challenge over the last 10 or 15 years because of the changing dynamics of our workforce and the types of people that are wanting to be engaged in these is small. And so I think that what we spend a lot of time at the international level talking about is how can we be nimble, and how can we move faster, and how do we keep up, and how do we get ahead of the ball? And, to Kevin's point, how do we make things easier at the chapter level for you to be able to actually go out and talk to people as opposed to having to worry about making sure that your website is functioning, right? Like, trying to make it as seamless as possible for you as leaders and as you as members to be able to engage with us. The demographics of our industry are changing, and that means that our association probably has to change along with it. We're learning about that as we go. We need feedback, and that's where opportunities for new leaders to become engaged and to help shape what that looks like. These are great opportunities as we continue to move forward to be engaged in what that looks like.
But again, whatever we end up being like, so we want to say, we want everybody to be involved. Well, maybe being under one giant tent isn't the way of the future. The American Medical Association is decimated because everybody wants specialization. A foot doctor doesn't want to talk to an oncologist. They want to be in an association of foot doctors, right? People who are looking to get their name out, well, the people who've been in the business for 30 years don't want to hang around with people who are going to shove a resume in their face. What is the target? What does the most good? This is the question we always ask. What does the most good to create a thriving events industry? We know we're going to start skewing younger. That's where the heaviest lift is needed. That's where the most good gets done. When we develop strong incoming practitioners, does the most work for us. Right? That is the biggest lift. So these are the conversations that we had. But the evolution is now beyond, hey, we paid our check, to now we really need to focus on when we spend this time together, is it the most we can get out of it as humanly possible.
Thank you guys. This has been great. Give them a round of applause. What thing you wish you learned sooner? Like being the nicest member of the whole thing, what's the one thing?
You go first.
So I think that, at least for me, I was always in the mindset where I believed everything that my bosses told me about their company being so unique. We do things here a special way. So I do a lot of work with universities, and you know what every university is doing? Apparently every university in America is changing the way we think about education. Every university is creating the next round of leaders that are going to take this country somewhere. Transformative experience. Okay, everyone's doing it, you know what? Nobody's doing it. Right? And so I thought to myself, wow, no, this really is the place I need to stay at. If you're young or younger, try to work in as many places as possible. Not every 3 months, that's bad. But I said, 4 to 6 years. And I don't know that you need 4 years to talk, look, absorb, gain, see. 2 years, go to the next and see. And experience as much as you can first, and then go. And then pick your spot, and then commit and be in it. But I was a company guy, and every place I went, I was like, no, this is the only way it's done. And it wasn't until I went on my own that I realized, wow, everybody does it, if not as good, better than where I was at. And so I think I would love to spend more time shopping earlier on.
I would probably say I wish that I would have known early on the power of good mentors that you can have in your life. I think it's really easy when you're young to be like, oh, I'm just gonna figure it out. I know what I want to do. Like, I'm just gonna go and I'm gonna do. And it took me a while to figure out how beneficial being able to be vulnerable enough to go to someone and ask for advice and ask for direction, how really, really impactful that can be, and the kinds of sort of symbiotic relationships that you can build over time because of things like that. And once I figured that out, I think maturity in my profession grew a lot, because I realized pretty quickly, when you're young, sometimes I think you live in this place of like, I don't need any help, I've got this. And pretty soon you realize, like, no, I actually really do need some, like, every once in a while you need a leg up, or you need somebody to say, what are you doing? Or here's a really good piece of advice. And I learned over the years that when I found myself in that position, that it actually is really beneficial to be able to pick up the phone and call somebody who I respected and trusted, and to listen to their advice. I didn't always take it, for good or bad, I didn't always take it, but it was good to get some perspective. And because, especially in this industry, I think it can be really easy to get lost in the crazy, and sometimes we just need perspective, and that was something I needed to learn. I wish I would have learned earlier, that I think really helped me get some balance.
I love it. All right, one last question. I said that was going to be the last one, but I'm going to do this one. I'm young, I'm new, I'm going to go to Rosen, and I'm on the fence. I don't know which organization I should join. Should I join NAME? Should I join MDI, HSMAI? Which one? And give me like your 30 seconds to 1 minute elevator speech of why we should join ISES.
One, join something. I don't care. As the president of ISES, it might seem heretical to say that. Just be involved in something. I don't care if it's ISES or not. Whatever works best for you. Two, try and take a guess, a stab, a notion of what you're most passionate about, and go to that market and get yourself known. Remember, you're an accelerant with your association. Accelerate your getting out there and knowing and meeting and seeing people. But think, what do I think I'm most passionate about, and start there. And if it happens to be live events, if it happens to be the crazy, as to mention ISES, folks like MPLI librarian and ISES crazy uncle who shows up at family gatherings in a Golden May unitard, right? The creativity is here, the family, the love is here. Fighting, yes, arguments, yes, but that's part of the craziness and the fun of it. So if that's what you're looking for out of it, fantastic.
Honestly, I would echo what Kevin said. Is I think find where you fit, and I believe very strongly, after my years of experience, that ISES there's a very distinct personality of our organization, and I think that you will feel it. And if you connect in and that makes sense to you, then I think that you will know. Like, that this is, like I said earlier, it's like I found my people, right? I think that that's the kind of organization that this is, and I believe, I mean, I don't think either one of us would have spent the time and energy to be international president of this if we didn't believe it and feel like this was really important to us. And I hope that if you're out there and you want to have the kind of opportunities that we both have had, there's an opportunity to do that here. And we are working really hard to be able to see some positive change in our industry, and we obviously want everybody to come along, and I think that there's opportunity here to do that. But to Kevin's point, like, find what makes you get up in the morning, and the group of people that makes you come back. And if it's here, then I sincerely hope that it is, and I believe that this organization of people is full of amazing individuals that don't exist elsewhere. And so we would love to have everybody here. I think that there's a great opportunity for great people here. So
thank you. I want to take any questions for these guys before we get to play the game. Anything else? Anything you heard today you ask a question about? Nobody frozen? There's Roby. You can ask a question.
I have two questions actually. So I'm in Rosen and I get the forum emails, I guess, that go out, and I've always wondered, like, how it works. Do you reply in the email? Is there a specific website or app that you can read or answer the questions, or even ask your own questions?
Are you an ISES member?
Yes. So
You need
into
to
the
log,
website?
yeah, if you go, do you know how to log into the community?
Yeah.
So if you log into the community, there's a link on there called Open Forum, and you can actually get into it through that, and that's where you can post questions.
Okay.
I believe that you should be able to, in the email, I think there's a reply link. If you're trying to reply to something,
Yeah.
you can do it right from the email. But if you want to post a new topic, you have to log in through the community on the website.
And then second was just, I know that we're being streamed live. Is this also going to be posted on the website to rewatch it?
So will this content be reposted? I believe the premise is yes.
Yes.
So being recorded, I'm sure an announcement will go out as to where exactly it's gonna live, be it Facebook or the website, the Orlando website.
Please limit your meme making to.
Oh, no. I feel like so students that sit in tonight, it would still be a very good opportunity
Sure.
to be able to watch, even online, or a rewatch to listen to some of the stuff we have.
Absolutely.
Share it away.
Push forward.
We happened to see the computer, we're like, are we being live streamed? And they're like, yeah.
Any other questions?
Please cut out the parts where we swore. Inappropriately. Cut it.
Kevin.
For once, it wasn't me. It's always me.
I completely forgot.
We love it. All right, well, we're running out of time. We were going to play a game, but Lindsay Buckingham cannot get on the show anymore. Matt Damon's definitely not showing up out here either. So, Jody, you win. It's because you win.
Calling foul. Look at Donald Trump calling foul in Iowa.
By the way, the best part
Robbed
about
of the chance of redemption.
talking about friends we make out here, we're all in fantasy football league. We needed a 8-person play called Kevin. We're like fantasy football, it's in.
We can make $50
Should I
off of it.
expect my call next?
Do you want in? We need a 10-team league.
I already played 2, but I will happily take 3.
JC, put her in. I love you.
What position did you finish? I think I beat you, right?
What goes on? All right, thank you guys for coming tonight. Give them another
Thank you, guys.
Oh, Stacy's jumping in, sorry.
Okay, so I just want to say thank you. Thank you both for putting up with your busy schedules. I mean, you flew in today, she flew in like 2:30 in the morning, so please stand up, give these two a round of applause. And also for those who actually participated, I think Stacy's next up. Stacy's too, and Matt picked. Okay, so these are, we have some new members, American Building Support, I'm saying these cards, I didn't bring the card up. So thank you so much, we got to take care of thank you to them for writing those for us. Thanks for coming, we'll see you in March.
And how amazing are these chairs?
Yes,
Like,
by the way,
I want
great,
this in
great
every
chairs.
session I ever have ever. Well done.
Oh, 50-50 raffle, hold on, you may be in the money. Direct benefit, pay to play.